Welcome to the Draftstars AFL show with Smatho and Roody.
Yes, thanks to Daily Fantasy Rankings, your number one platform for your AFL DFS. Then you come to Draftstars to play your AFL DFS. The Draftstars AFL show with Smatho and Roody's back for another edition for round 19. Tigers versus Dockers. And as you can see straight away, first of all, we are pre-recording the show tonight, so unfortunately no live stream. There are a couple of factors. One, it's freaking freezing here in Hobart. I've got the beautiful Draftstars jacket available, so that's only for our
freezing
ticket winners.
What are you talking about? Freezing, mate? It's beautiful up here in Palm Cove. Absolutely beautiful. Went to
So for the
viewers today. It was I had to reapply sunscreen about 3 times by the pool. It's been tough, Smatho.
Palm Cove's in far north Queensland, isn't it?
F and Q. I think a few people will say F and Q Rudy right now.
Fair enough. So the reason why we're not live because I think Rudy's connection up there is not exactly fantastic. So we're going to just do the recording for tonight. So sorry to guys who are on the live stream. We'll have to throw in the questions. Hopefully this time next week we'll be able to crack into that. So Rudy, tough life up there at the moment?
Yeah, mate, it's really tough. Look, there's a trip that's been cancelled twice already because of the Rona over the past 3 years. I'm up here with all the fam, brother and his kids, and my sister and her kids, and my old man. So no, it's been fun, But I have not missed a chance sending my mates screenshots of the weather. Back in my home town, it was 2 degrees this morning. And while I was sitting by the pool with no one around me, it was 22 already at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. It was -2 here in Hobart this morning. I did the old man trick. I put a towel over my windshield of my car, which did the job. But when I flicked it off, all these crystals just flicked all off. It was absolutely freezing. So, look, I am jealous of you, Rudy. But, well deserved that you finally got your trip up to far north Queensland. Speaking of trips, if you're the winner of the AFL Live Final, the $150,000 first prize, you might be able to get up there with Rudy and celebrate your win. But we do have to have a bit of a shout out to our latest winners, including the following 12 entries from last week who are coming to the AFL Live Final, include Buddy Love 23, Ringen, Off the Map, Fishboy, Dog Spurs, Brody4 _ his second ticket there, Muff King 69, which is a fantastic username. Getting through the filter. Jacko Baker, Perry J, Briz 17, the Bristleman, Spud 101, and Harrows High FL. They're on their way to the AFL Live Final. 38 tickets remaining, Rudy. Like I don't have to bang on about you should be getting there pretty quick. I think we've only got 3 weeks after this weekend. So we're approximately around 11 tickets a week now. So, 38 to go. So congrats to these guys. I'll be seeing you guys at the AFL Live Final. All right, Rudy's still with us, which is great. So let's get stuck into this game. Tigers versus Dockers. We don't talk about Dockers. I think this is the first time I've done it in a long time. Richmond is a very common team on the Draftstars AFL show, but 7:50 p.m. start. We're at Marvel for this one. $75,000 prize pool is up for grabs from Draftstars. 3 golden tickets as well. Teams dropped on Thursday evening. Let's have a look at these, Rudy. So let's bring them up, the teams. Richmond have brought in Ivan Soldo in for Josh Gipskis, Alex Pearce and Liam Henry coming to the Fremantle side for Rory Lobb and Travis Collier. So not many changes there, but obviously that does affect the ruck situation at Tigerland.
Yeah, I mean, just off air, Smatho and I were just chatting about Richmond bringing Soldo back in, and I cried real tears. And it's hard to cry up here in Palm Cove, but I did, And it's funny because, I mean, obviously 2 rucks. Most teams are playing 2 rucks these days. It is very in vogue. But Richmond, this is a message from Smatho and myself. Stop trying to make 2 rucks a thing. It doesn't work for you guys. Soldo is crap around the ground. Nankervis is a good ruckman, but geez, he's a lumbering giant. So They add nothing around the ground, nothing. You are going in playing one of the fastest ball-moving teams in the competition at one of the fastest grounds in the competition, and you're going in with 2 rucks. So, dear Richmond, stop doing it. Signed sincerely, Smatho and Roody.
Yes.
Bit tough on Jibkus, but I suppose the matchups don't really work apart from with Rory Lobb going out. Freo are really small forward line, Smatho. Really, Tabner is their only small forward. Frederick plays taller than he is, but really it's Tabner and the Shrimps because very small forward line. So matchups there for Jibkus, who I think has been really good. He's going to be a very good footballer. Arts has been whatever, not that good this year. The Dockers changes, Rory Lobb. Is he injured, or are they just putting him in mothballs for trade time and finals time? Who knows? Ethan Hughes, he's been in and out. Collier. There's some players who just seem like they've been playing the AFL for decades, and Collier is one of those people. So not really much to look for. Liam Henry, I just want this kid to play footy. I love to see what this kid can really do. But not much to talk about fantasy-wise with the changes, but definitely some things to talk about with the positions. So if you're ready to go to Rucks, let's go.
Got to do the shout-out to Day Fantasy Rankings too.
Of course. I always forget that.
So if
Sorry,
you're looking
bosses.
you got to talk about the data here, Rudy. I'm sure your AFL knowledge is sound, but you got to talk about the data for fantasy here. So a couple of notes here on the Daily Fantasy Ranking site. I'm here on the points against. The first thing I see straight away, team stats accumulated. You've already alluded to they're a high-paced team. They're also a high-possession team. So second in the league there for disposals. A lot of uncontested those possessions there and uncontested marks, whereas Richmond are your middle of the road there, around 340 per game. But in terms of defence and versus positions, there's not really that much to go on here. So obviously here the forwards, Freo and Richmond are pretty low here. As for your mids, same story. They're pretty stingy. And then that's forward. In the mids, Richmond do give up a little bit, but Freo don't, apart from the last couple of weeks. And then also here in the backs as well. They're around level pegging. So there's no real key position that we can attack, apart from the fact that Freo love having the footy. So I'll bring up the slide here for you, Rudy. $75,000 contest. Read golden tickets up for grabs. You want to go with the Rucks. And I think one straight away you're going to cross out is obviously Ivan Soldo at 7,250. Hasn't gone over 50 points in his last 3. The other 2 options we have available is obviously Darcy Cameron there at 13,740. And only
Sean
for
Darcy.
around $160 cheaper there is Toby Nankervis. With a 46 a couple of weeks ago, but did come with through 90. Rudy's already shaved his head.
Smatho, I'm on holidays. I don't need the stress of the Rucks on this slate to ruin my holiday buzz. Okay, I really don't need this right now. It's just not okay. But this is just a disaster. These Rucks, are we really gonna have to spend $13,000 on a Ruckman tonight? Soldo, you're right. You said put a line right through him. And I mean, there have been an island game. I can't even remember if that 14th of May game was a Nankervis free day or not. I have a feeling it might not have been. I think it just might have been a random island game.
No, it's not. 14th of May, there was a 94 from Nank, and then obviously from Soldo, an 85. So
yeah. So I just the thing is though, Smatho, I just can't see, as much as I don't want to play Soldo, I really, really don't. I just can't. Why play Darcy and Nank? And I don't know. There is enough value on the slate in the forward line to fit one of them in. But it pains me. It just pains me to play any of these ruckmen. I'm kind of half hoping that Richmond realise they don't need Soldo on this slate, and he's a late omission. But god damn it, it's tough. It's really tough. But between Nankervis and Darcy, I'd go Darcy. Higher ceiling for me. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, the price is just too similar to to make a contrarian play on Nankervis, maybe on ownership. Soldo, you really have to hope that he gets a 60 from his price. So, yeah, playing safe here. Sean Darcy at 13.7. And just hope he has at least a significant points difference between the other two. If it ends up being quite similar, so be it. But you just got to eat a bit of chalk on that one. Let's move on to the defense. Nick Voston last week led all comers for the Tigers. He did score. He was the only one to score over 100 points last week, but there were 6 other Tiger players that did score over 90. He's available there at 14,060. No real changes. Obviously, Gibbs' house doesn't really change much there for the Tigers back line. Then we've got the roaming defenders of the Dockers, including Hayden Young, Jordan Clark, and Luke Ryan. They're all above $12,000. Liam Baker still has a role within the defence / midfield, but his fantasy scoring has dropped off. 54 last week. He's available at 11.7. And then Daniel Rioli is probably one of the more popular players coming up here at 11,390. Sounds like he burnt a lot of people last week who did have Rioli, did kind of get going the last third quarter, fourth quarter with a 62. But I believe that most people will go back again to Rioli. So thoughts on these top 6 here, Rudy?
Yeah, just on Rioli. I'm one of those who got burnt by Rioli last week, definitely. Blossom's having some kind of fantasy season, really consistent. We always knew that he had these massive intercept mark games every now and then, especially against Melbourne. Playing Nick Blossom against Melbourne was just a lock every single slate. But he's introduced some consistency this time, which is good to see. 14's a lot tonight. There is value, especially if you play Soldo on the ruck. I don't mind spending up to Vloston tonight, especially be a bit of contrarian play because most people will look to jam in those Fremantle high possession +6 defenders. If you're going to play 1, play 2 of the Freo guys, or even 3 because you can put some of them in your midfield as well. I don't like Liam Baker. I do like Nathan Broad. He's probably had an underrated fantasy season as well. Probably dropped off a little bit recently, but he has had some really good games earlier in the year as well. And even a couple of weeks ago, shot up for an Ireland game as well at 11 mark on the back of 11 marks. But really, it's going to be mix and match for me with my Freo defenders. I think Freo get the job done quite easily tonight. And Richmond, usually if I thought that Fremantle was going to win so easily, I would suggest maybe a contrarian play of a Richmond stack just in case they don't win, right? But Richmond, just as we know, we've spoken about a few times, they're just not a high fantasy scoring team. So I just don't think you'll get the leverage on the field if you go for a really Richmond heavy team. I suppose the contrarian play in just a total lineup perspective is going for a more evenly balanced team rather than a straight Freo stack. So of the Freo defenders, I think the most popular tonight will be Heath Chapman, just because coming back from his injury a couple of weeks ago, must be a month almost now, no, a couple of weeks, he was priced down because of that, and the prices haven't really caught up with his output over the last fortnight. So Heath Chapman will be one of the more popular plays. I don't mind. I don't think there's many chalky plays tonight, Smatho. So I don't really mind. I'm not really too concerned about ownership. He'll be around the 25 to 30% mark, maybe a little bit more, Heath Chapman. Of those, and just mix and match. So mix in your Liam Ryan, who is the intercept marker, Jordan Clark, who's the runner, Hayden Young, who's the runner on the other side. Mix them all in. Play Jordan Clark in the midfield, and then you can have 3 of those defenders, which I think is probably one of the tactics that I'm going to use definitely quite heavily tonight. But I just want to go down just a little bit and talk about. I just think that is it possible, Smatho? So who do the Dockers need to man up against in the forward line? They've got to man up against Rewald and Bolter, right? But apart from that, Cumberland's not. I thought it was a tall forward, but he's actually not that tall at all. But let me double check that. I just want to be accurate on that. So I actually don't see that Richmond are that tall. He's 183 Cumberland, so he's not tall at all. Still towers over me though, Smatho. So yeah, I actually think that Freo don't need all the defenders, all the tall defenders they have. So is it possible that Cox goes forward? I know he's been named at fullback, it appears, but I reckon Cox could go forward, maybe even Logue. They've experimented with swinging these guys forward and back a little bit, so I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. So you could take a bit of a punt there. Ralph Smith, yeah, I guess. I just don't think there's a need to. I think there's better Richmond value plays to chuck in. But I'm going to go through. I think this is one case where I will go quite Fremantle heavy in my back line.
Fair enough. I would say Griffin Logue will be sent forward more than Brennan Cox. I think there's been talk that Logue would be very flexible there. So if you think Freo is going to get the job done up on the scoreboard, 7-2 is not too bad as a defender. But I'm liking probably the solid floor values of Daniel Rioli and Heath Chapman at those prices. Especially Chapman. If he can get 80 plus, that's fantastic at his price. And then you'll see Daniel Rioli's role will probably continue. And I said, hopefully some people will be scared from that 62 from last week. Let's talk about the mids. One thing I wanted to add, obviously Freo have been pretty stingy with obviously midfielder premiums, but last week against the Swans, they were just absolutely different to the rest of the season. They gave up to the Swans, 9 players scored 90 plus fantasy points, and they gave up Mules to 132 and Chad Warner 127. So I'm not sure if it's obliteration or aberration. I don't know what the word is. Might have to check my thesaurus here, but I just don't see the Richmond Tigers midfield getting to those heights. They never really get to those heights. Maybe one player in a blue moon, like a Jadden Short, if you get some cheap stuff at back. But I think Freo is going to do a job here, and obviously there's going to be some popular midfield stacks here for the Dockers, and that's led by Brayshaw, 16,480. Just the 78 last week after coming off 100 and big 44. So again, some buyers might be beware, but you just have to back in his high floor and his high ceiling. Brody's having a great season at 14,090. Sarong's at 13,1. Jordan Clark, we talked about 12,880. Dion Pressia, the injury machine, is at 12,820. And then Jack Graham is at forward availability at 12,6. Acres, Aish, or above 12K. So it's not one of those bulldog slates where you've got everyone above 15K. You're going to see a lot of Bs with Brayshaw, but after that, what are we doing in terms of your Freo combinations?
Yeah, so I think just looking at the roles firstly, just in case you guys weren't sure, like you said, Smatho, we haven't done a lot of Fremantle games on this show at least. Brayshaw, Brody, Sarong, they're your in and unders. Well, Brayshaw can do anything, this kid. He's quite incredible. So Brayshaw, Sarong, and Brody, they're your in and unders. And then you've got your outside runners in Clark, Akers, Aish as well, who have had really, really good seasons. As well, and Old Man Mundy as well, running through the midfield as the fourth rotation. So they play a pretty standard rotation in midfield. Obviously, if you're looking at the pure ceiling play, Brayshaw's ceiling on this slate is so far and above the ceiling of any other player. Let's be honest. Like, it's so far above. A 140, 150 is really his true ceiling. Who can come close to that? No one really on this slate. No one. Now that Tom Lynch, a Tom Lynch 7-goal, 10-mark game gets you there, but no one else really. So I don't think there's any reason to be scared of Brayshaw tonight. That Tigers don't tag. Did what's his name, Ryan Clark, run a little bit of a tag? I didn't see that game last week. Did he tag Brayshaw at all or not?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, okay. So then, that's the reason for Brayshaw's 78 then. Clark is one of the better taggers in the competition, the Sydney Clark, that is. Don't be afraid of Brayshaw's low score. And even just with the team that I'm building at the moment, you can – it is – if you play Sean Darcy and Brayshaw and pay up for the Freo defenders, it does get a little bit tricky. But there is some forward line value that we can kind of leverage that against. All right, let's go through. So Brody, he's on my list, definitely. Ceiling's been there. He hasn't busted through that ceiling, and 14 is a lot to pay. But again, when you're looking for pure ceiling plays, Brody isn't is someone that I will have definitely on my list. Jaden Short, I just, give him a role and stick to it. I think he's been moved around a lot, and just let him settle, let the kid settle. But I don't mind it as getting that one Richmond player into your team. Don't mind Jaden Short there at 13.6. Caleb's still wrong. I don't think he'll be that popular, but again, that makes him someone who I'm keen on. Jordan Clark, I mentioned him before. Prestia, it's just about his body, isn't it? It's just about getting his body right. So 12.8 for a 90, you take that. Jack Graham burnt a couple of people. He's gone up in price despite his performance just staying around that 80, 90. Definitely throw him in though. And then Akers and H I've mentioned already on the wings. Shai Bolton, not someone I really want on my radar. Has really taken a lot of shots on goal recently though, and hasn't been able to kick them. So if you add a couple of goals, I think it was 2 last week, 3 the week before, and 4 the week before that. So you add 2 goals, 3 goals, 4 goals, and then his returns are a lot better. Clearly, Smatho, can you scroll down so the watchers can see? Is there someone who is underneath Camden McIntosh who we just cannot believe? Veterans of the fantasy game cannot believe that he's down here.
I was going to have a surprise for you. I thought, I might scroll down to David Mundy, and then forgot about this guy. Yeah, Nat Fife, $9,530. Dual position, mid forward, only just the 40 last week against the Swans. Obviously, a back off 89. Let's call it a career low in salary on Draftstars. That price alone is going to make people click his name, isn't he?
It's really interesting though. I actually spoke about this in my previous life as a fantasy insider writer, but Nat Five has never been someone that I've played a lot in fantasy, and that's whatever form. Apart from Supercoach. In his prime, he was an amazing Supercoach player. But in terms of real Dream Team scores and the same system of scoring we use here on Draftstars, Nat 5 has never been someone that I've been keen on a lot, but Jesus Christ, that price. If you're telling me you're willing to click Camden McIntosh, but you're not willing to click Nat 5, go and get your head examined because, I'm going to pick 5 just because of the shots of his biceps that float around on social media alone. Make me question my own masculinity at times 5. But yeah, he'll be popular, but name recognition, dual position, and that crazy low price. But the crazy low price is there for a reason. His role is just uncertain. He's not fast. Where does he play? What does he do? How does he get to value? If we look at that 89, it was propped up by 3 goals. Yeah, so take that away, and it's another 60-50 score. It's not like he's just come back. He's been there for a month and a bit now, so nearly 2 months actually. So I don't know, Smatho. I think I'll be light on 5 just because of that name recognition. The only 2 people I want to point out down the bottom, Kaiser Sozeg, the usual suspects, Tyler Sonsi, of course. He had a good first up game last week, did enough to hold his spot. Not bad if you want to chuck in just your one Richmond player at a cheap value. There's more chance that he'll get closer to value than Soldo will, So, and then Liam Henry, like I said in the opening, love to see what this kid can do. We saw him hit what is probably his ceiling at this stage of his career. We haven't got a lot of him on the park, so the 6K effect will happen tonight again. And I don't think there's any real problems with that, especially if you think that Free are going to win. Can you get a 50 that'll put you over the line? Yeah, maybe. So he should be on your list at least. To the forward line we go, Smatho. Who do you like here?
All right, so Jack Graham, Shai Bolton lead this slate here at 12,006 and 11,7. Then we drop all the way down to Jack Rewell at 9,850. 98 last week. He did kick 2 goals 6 in that travesty game against the Kangaroos. So obviously, if you change that to 4 goals 2, that is an absolute smashing fantasy wise. So one to look out for at 9.8. Walters seems to be there, but not really there if you want it, as I'm trying to say, at 9-7. Below him, Nat 5. I think you're going to find Nat 5 in a lot of forward lines. Frederick, Schultz, Tabner is your guns up forward for the Freo. And then obviously we drop away down to Edwards, Dow, Bolter. Bolter's there at 7,580. Cumberland is your last player on the slate there at 6,170, which probably will find into a lot of teams as well. So in my mind, I think I've pretty got nailed a cash team head-to-head, which I'll show you shortly. So outside of Noah, Cumberland, and also Nat 5, where can you get contrarian in your forward line?
Contrarian's going to be tough in your forward line, to be honest. I think Walters was a good point out there. Actually think he's really important to Fremantle's chance of going really far in finals. He's just class, and class players are what you need in finals time. So, yeah, Walters, he's, if you look at that middle patch of the season, 60s to 70s, that's not too bad. It's not going to win you a slate, though. So we really need to see a ceiling game from Walters to win you a slate. And because he will be quite popular, I'm probably not as keen as I usually would be, but he'll definitely be on my wider pool of players, that's for sure. Frederick is someone who I've been burnt by a couple of times. I really like the look of this guy. I really, really, really like him. So I just think he's really versatile. He can move up the ground. He's a good ball user. He doesn't just rely on goals, even though, of course, as a forward, his bigger games are propped up by goals. There are more strings to his bow. So I don't mind a forward line for me of Frederick and Schultz or something like that. Tabner as the only key forward, like Richmond still have a very, very good back line, So Tabner will be very low owned because of that, because you've still got Tarrant, you've still got the kid Miller, you've still got Grimes as well, who'll probably play small. Grimes will probably play on Frederick or Walters. So they've still got a really good back line. So Tabner will be low owned. So Schultz and boy Frederick as well. Who else did I have little earmarked? Banfield. Yep. So Banfield is the other one that I will be keen on tonight as well. So Smatho, you said you had a cash team. Why don't I go through my tournament team, and then you can show us your cash team as well.
Okay, sure. All right, let's go all the way back to the ruckman. All right, who's in your rucks?
All right, so God, I hate this. I really, really hate it. Just do it so I don't have to think about it again. I'm going to go Soldo. Oh, God damn it.
Yuck.
God damn it. It's just, I feel dirty. Got to go have a dip in the pool afterwards.
Fair enough. Backline.
Backline is Chapman and Ryan, please.
Chapman and Lukey Ryan up in your mids.
In my mids, I will hang on a second. It's got to do one little thing.
Of course you do.
Of course I do. You know I do, mate. Come on. We've been working together long enough now that you should know my little tricks. In my mids, can I get enough to get him or not? Crap. That sucks. All right. I'll go to my forward line first. So my forward line, I'm going to go Bailey Banfield and Michael Frederick.
All right, that leaves you just over 50 grand here for 4 midfielders.
Yeah, so we'll go with Brayshaw, please.
Yes.
We'll go with Jordan Clark.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, do I want Jordan Clark or not? I'm just sorry, guys. It wouldn't be an episode of this show without me doing this. Yeah, Jordan Clark is someone I want. I also would like. No, I don't want him though. So I'll go with Akers, who rumor has it is interested in getting out of Fremantle. Did you hear that during the week? Lobb and Akers could be the ones to pay the price for Luke Jackson's arrival. By the way, this Melbourne supporter and plenty of my mates we've admitted the fact that he's gone. Like Jackson's gone, I reckon. And it's fucked up. Like, it's just really, really fucked up because, like, yeah, whatever. We'll do a whole YouTube episode. Let's do it. Hey, Smatho, maybe we should do a trade podcast. Smatho and Roody talk trades. I think we'd double our listeners, to be honest.
From what, 10?
Yeah. You know what? Let's go really off the board here. Someone I did not talk about, and someone who I hate. Give me Trent Cotchin.
Sure.
Actually, no, that's stupid. No,
10,900.
give me Bolton. Give me Bolton.
All right.
Yeah, Bolton's got a higher ceiling. That's stupid. Yeah, give me Bolton. Yeah, there's my team.
All right, so there's your team. So Banfield, Frederick, Brayshaw, Clark, Akers, Bolton, Chapman, Ryan, and Soldo. There's Rudy's ultimate tournament lineup. You're either your first or your last for that particular one. But yeah, tonight, after last week's kind of poor effort, I thought, no, just get in the Smatho lab and say, look, go back to your bread and butter, which was cash games, double ups, head to heads, just grinding away, nothing silly. So this is my nothing silly side for this week. Sean Darcy as my ruck. I've got here Daniel Rioli at 11-3. I've got Heath Chapman at 10-9. For my midfielders, I've gone Brayshaw and Brody. For the mid-price, I've gone down to Marlon Pickett. Seems to have a nice fantasy role there, 86.7 form there at 10,650. And then I've gone all the way down here to Tyler Sonsie. So if you can get another 55, 60, that's what we need. As for my forward line, I've got to go cheap again. So I've gone Noah Cumberland. If you can produce another 50-plus game, that's fantastic. And then I've gone to Nat Fife in my forward line. So this side, in a tournament, it's just going to have percentage all over it. Whereas if you're playing your head-to-heads or double-ups or against your mates, if you're playing those creator contests, it's just the 3 or 4 of you. Don't be too silly. Just stick to floors, hopefully a bit of ceiling from each one of them. So there's my cash team for this week. All right, Rudy, I better let you go. You've got some festivities up in FNQ ready to go. So have fun with those. We'll be back next week for round 20. The countdown to the AFL Live Final is on. We're getting pretty excited here. Flick us a like on this particular episode. Subscribe to the the Daily Fantasy Rankings YouTube channel for all content. Rudy, thank you so much for your insight this week.
Thank you, Smatho. Thanks for squeezing me in. Apologies to the regulars on the YouTube channel. We appreciate you, and we'll be back live out of my cupboard in Melbourne next week.
Cupboard, closet, whatever the thing that you recorded. It's fantastic. All right, thanks to yours. We'll see you next week. Take it easy.